The genre of Metroidvania is a difficult one for me not to judge from a first impression, because my default attitude regarding games that are classified as Metroidvania are, do they hold a candle to the games that created the genre? So my expectations for Hollow Knight were already pretty low from the start. Fortunately for Hollow Knight, I didn't have to weigh the comparisons for too long, as while it is a Metroidvania with its core gameplay, everything else in the game devolves into it being a Souls-like. Unfortunately for Hollow Knight, I'm a filthy casual who generally dislikes playing games that despises the player at every turn, but despite this, I gave it a fair shake, and in the end I had rather mixed feelings overall of Hollow Knight as a whole. The main character, for all intents and purposes, isn't really relevant because similarly to Dark Souls, you are just a character in the overarching story. A story not about any one person in particular, but about the world you are in. And that world, to put it bluntly, is fucked. To summarize, the game takes place in the bug-ruled kingdom of Hallownest after a mysterious disease plagues the entire kingdom, with the game's main hub area, Dirtmouth, being the only area unaffected by the disease. This disease caused many of its inhabitants to become violent, insane, and, well, dead, and it is up to us to destroy the source of this disease and put this dying kingdom to rest. If there's one thing I think Hollow Knight nails, it's the story and the game's gloomy atmosphere. The story is mostly a show-don't-tell type of affair in that it lets you see for yourself the destruction of the world around you as you explore its many vast and diverse areas, with each area having its own story to tell. Though some are better than others. Deep Nest can get fucked. You know an area is bad when even your method of fast travel doesn't want to be there. This area took the gloomy atmosphere of the previous areas and took it down a weird spooky direction. It just feels kind of out of place with the rest of the game, and the bullshit massively spikes here, what with enemies appearing out of thin air, everything being fucking dark, the dead husk enemies having a 50% chance of coming back to life as some eldritch horror, these giant fuckers being goddamn near invincible, the floor constantly collapsing under you, usually into a pit of spikes, and the things that really made me yell, "What the fuck?" at my TV, these fake grub cunts. Something Hollow Knight really has going for it though is its charm. The Elderbug in Dirtmouth tells you at the start of the game that many of the town's inhabitants went underground in search of either wealth, fame, or enlightenment. So during our adventure we encounter many of them along the path, and they all have different personality types. You've got characters who are stoic, prideful, weird, insane, some who are just trying to live their best lives, some are just dicks, some are just fat and useless. The high point of the game for me definitely would be the Mantis village located at the bottom of the fungal waste. The Mantises were the only ones who managed to survive the plague with their mentality intact because of their heightened sense of intelligence and honor that wouldn't let them get afflicted by it. However, they are also naturally protective of their land, and they are naturally hostile towards outsiders. They'll attack you on sight, though the flying one's AI tends to be, well, bugged. One of them even slams a door on you upon entering the village, the rude bastard. At the bottom of the village, though, is the Mantis Lords, who if you try to just ignore and walk past them, they too slam a door in your face, so I guess now I know it's just a customary of Mantis culture, but if you challenge them and defeat them, you'll gain the respect of the entire tribe as they bow to you being superior to them, which means I probably should have gotten even on that bastard who slammed the door on me since attacking them means they'll retaliate, but I guess that just makes me the better, bug. I wish they'd have tuned down the charm level of the merchants, however, as the charm sellers Salubra and Leg Eater have their personalities interspersed with their item descriptions, which, especially in the case of Leg Eater, who is fucking crazy, makes it hard to know exactly what it is they're selling to me, which is a major issue because Geo, your in-game currency, is finite. Enemies drop fuck all of it, and Geo deposits are a rather rare commodity, and for the most part you're going to use a Geo in Sly Shop because he sells items actually required for progression, so in the end I never actually purchased many charms throughout my playthrough, though fortunately you can find plenty of good charms just out in the wild. Hollow Knight's fucking map system, however, is ultimately what breaks the game for me. Instead of traditional Metroidvanias where you fill in the gaps of your map through naturally progressing through the game, throughout each area of the game you have to find a cartographer named Cornifer who will sell you a map of the area. Problem is, the map is barely filled out and looks like a 5-year-old drew it. Even worse, you also don't get to know where you are on the map by default, making it pretty fucking useless. You have to buy a compass from his wife Iselda's shop in Dirtmouth, and that compass counts as a charm, so for the entire fucking game, one of your charm slots will be permanently taken up by the compass. Even worse, the map also doesn't fucking autofill in the areas you've explored. Instead, Cornifer tells you that you need to buy a quill from Iselda's shop as well, and only when you save by sitting down on a bench or die and respawn do you actually get to see the little bugger fill in the map with what locations you've explored. Also in Iselda's shop, you can buy pins that can show you where shops and vendors are located, stag stations, which are your fast travel, the benches, which are your save points, hot springs, which are your full heal and soul recharge. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned I'm a cunt yet? Finding Cornifer is at least easy to do, as you know you are near his location when you start hearing his incessant humming and seeing paper trails all over the place, though sometimes he'll be out of player reach upon initially finding him, like in Fog Canyon. Cornifer can be especially frustrating as well at times, as he sometimes will just piss off from a place before he gives you a map of the area because you broke sequence and triggered an event somewhere that caused him to leave. This happened twice throughout my recordings. It happened in the Ancient Basin and it happened in the Royal Waterways. It really sucked not being able to find him in the waterways. I ended up getting lost for a while in the labyrinth. It also didn't help that the fucking Desolate dive power-up sucks. I just want the fucking bench! It's hard to know what triggers this from first glance, because once you obtain the Mantis Claw in the Mantis Village, which lets you climb up walls, the game stops being linear in design. Basically, if you die to the Mantis Lords, respawn and head back towards the village again, you'll encounter another bug named Quarrel, who's basically a recurring character throughout the entire game. At the entrance of the Mantis Village, however, he basically tells you that you're shit and that you should probably get your weapon upgraded in the city east of here. A blunt manner of speaking that Quarrel bloke has, but this is generally good game design. The problem is after you do find the Nailsmith and get your weapon, or nail as it is called, upgraded, you're kinda on your own with where to go next. You can go back to the Mantis Village to defeat the Mantis Lords to gain access to Deep Nest, but without a way to light the way forward, you can't really progress until you buy the Lumify Lantern for 1800 Geo off of Sly, who you have to find in the Forgotten Crossroads first before his shop opens, but once you have the Lantern you can go to Crystal Peak, where you can get the Crystal Heart, which is also required for progression. Then you can go back to the Deep Nest and get the Tram Pass there, which unlocks like 3 other areas, or you can just stay in the City of Tears and go to the Soul Suckdom and battle the Soul Cunt there, who upon defeat will drop the Desolate Dive power-up that'll let you break the glass ceilings and clumbing floors, so now you can explore the sewers under the city called the Royal Waterways. There's just so much you can do after you get the Mantis Claw. Not all is lost if you happen to miss out on a map though, because if you return to Iselda's shop, you can purchase any maps you've happened to somehow sequence skip, though at a marked up fee. You know what, fuck Hollow Knight. The map system in a Metroidvania is the most important part to get right because of the giant sprawling labyrinth-like level design. Hollow Knight's is just egregiously awful for the sake of wanting to rake the players over the coals at every chance it gets. I hope Iselda's getting railed by the shopkeeper Sly next door on the side while Cornifer cries about it in his fucking cuck cave.